हर गंगे, जय जय गंगे जय हर गंगे, जय जय गंगे जय हर गंगे। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः, गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। We are in the 11th Anuvaka, the last mantra of the 11th Anuvaka. Please try repeating after me. Namo Rudrebhyo, Namo Rudrebhyo, Ye Prathivyam, Ye Antarikshe, Ye Devi, Ye Shamannam Vato, Varshamishavastebhyo, Dasha Prachir Dasha, Dakshina Dasha, Praticir Dasho, Dicir Dashordhvastebhyo, Stebhyo Namaste No, Mridayantu Te, Yam Dvishmo Yascha, No Dveshtitam Vo, Jambhe Dadami. This is all one sentence. नमो रुद्रेभ्यो ये पृथिव्यां येऽन्तरिक्षे ये दिवि येषामन्नं वातो वर्षमिषवस्तेभ्यो दश प्राचीर्दश दक्षिणा दश प्रतीचीर्दशोर्ध्वास्तेभ्यो नमस्ते नो मृडयन्तु ते यं द्विष्मो यश्च नो द्वेष्टितं वोजम्भे ददामि. While we were in the ashram, we used to have sort of healthy competition between this mantra and then there is one Vishnu Suktam. In that Vishnu Suktam as well, that entire first sentence is long one. And that was also a sort of a competition for us to chant these two separately in one breath. विष्णोर्नुकं वीर्याणि प्रवोचं यः पार्थिवान् विममे तजागं सियो अस्कवादिदुत्तरगम्. So that mantra and this mantra, those were the innocent days. Okay, this mantra. Now this mantra, though the Dhyana shloka is as mentioned earlier in the fourth rik or fourth mantra, that Dhyana mantra is taken here as well. But the results of this particular mantra is prosperity. But the way this mantra has to be chanted is a very rigorous process of tapas. Penance is of the great nature here. So this is how the penance has to be performed. Are you ready? Because it's a complicated process. Not a complicated, a lengthy process. The entire process is a fasting of 21 days. One thing is guaranteed. After 21 days, you would definitely lose at least 20-25 pounds. So in the name of the Lord, one good benefit is you have trimmed down. If you are already like this, don't attempt it for that reason. This particular mantra, the first 5 days, the sadhak, the one who is performing the penance, has to live on milk. Now when it says milk, it is not tons and tons of milk, gallons and gallons of milk. 3 glasses per day. No additions, no subtractions in that milk. Meaning nothing else to be added to make it ekakshari or dvayakshari. Do you know what is that ekakshari and dvayakshari? Ekakshari is tea. Dvayakshari is coffee. No additions, no subtraction, just pure milk. I learnt that technicality of ekakshari and dvayakshari when there were these group of, there was some temple, installation of the deities, and there were about 11 of the priests. And while they were performing the yaga, one part of yajna had come to a conclusion. The second part had to begin, and then the third part was Purnahuti. So in between this, so the main priest, while he just concluded, like in the same breath, Ekakshari, Dvayakshari, kim astiva? What is available, Ekakshari or Dvayakshari? So the youngest one, Naham janami prachami I'll go ask and find and let you know. First, they got me when I thought it was a mantra, and I was like racking my head. Where does this mantra come? And then when he came back with the glasses of tea and coffee, then it clicked in my head. And then I looked at the main priest. Ekakshari, Dvayakshari. That was code language, not to be deciphered by people. Okay. So first 5 days, milk. Second 5 days, live on fruits. And not like have one whole, what do you call, bunch of bananas sitting there and keep on eating. Again, 3 fruits. So make a wise choice. What kind of fruit you want to pick? If you pick grapes, it's a little difficult. Morning, afternoon, evening, 3 fruits. Then the next 5 days, live on curds. Not milk plus fruit plus curds, only curds. 3 glasses. Normal glasses, okay? Don't. No, you never mentioned the size and shape of the glass, and you sit with the Starbucks mug. What do you call it? Bucket. Venti. It's big. No. Normal size, 3 glasses. Curds. And then the next 5 days, again milk. And the 21st day, so 4 sets done. First set milk, second set fruits, third set curds, fourth set milk, and then the 21st day. 21st day, nirjala. Nirjala, you should not eat anything burnt. No, jala there means water. Not even water. And then from the 22nd day, each day, this mantra, this particular one line has to be repeated 1,000 times for 11 days. So it is a 1 month long program. And prosperity will come in knocking. And not just that, the prosperity will come knocking. The mantra siddhi of this particular mantra is such that invoking that prosperity for someone else, and that someone else will find prosperity in their life. You do this entire process and chant this for 11 days and invoke it for someone, and they will get that. Probably what Adi Shankaracharya ji had when he chanted the Kanakadhara Stotra, that prosperity just rained forth. Okay, now going into the mantra. In technicality, this one line is supposed to be 3 mantras put together. So it should be something like Namo Rudrebhyo ye prathivyam ye shaman vate ye shaman namishavat mishavastebhyo dasha prachir dasha dakshina dasha pratichir dashodvastebhyo, the entire one. The second mantra, Namo Rudrebhyo ye entarikshe ye sham vata ishavastebhyo dasha prachir dasha dakshina dasha pratichir dashodhichir dashodva, that entire mantra. And the third mantra is Namo Rudrebhyo ye divi ye sham varshamishavaste, and then continue it. So all these 3 mantras put together is Namo Rudrebhyo ye prathivyam ye entarikshe ye divi ye shaman vato. They're all clubbed together, 3 aspects. So once you weed those 3 aspects out and then create the infrastructure. In the Yajurveda, this particular mantra, not this part, this entire Rudram comes in various parts. In the Shukla Yajurveda, this is given as 3 mantras, whereas in the Krishna Yajurveda, which is what we are chanting, it comes as 1 mantra. So Rudram, you can find 2 versions of it, one in Krishna Yajurveda and one in Shukla Yajurveda. Sometimes in Sri Suktam also there is a lot of confusion. There are a lot of additions, stotras added in there. Now in South India it has been chanted with such vigor and fervor that we consider that as a part of Sri Suktam. But the first, I think 20 mantras put together is the Sri Sukta, and you have about 4 different variations within the Vedas. And each one chanting things that the others don't know how to chant. They are all chanting it wrong. No, they would be chanting one of the other versions. TMI, too much of information given. So these 3 mantras, the meaning is thus. Ye Rudrebhyaha, ye meaning those Rudras or Rudra Ganas, Pruthivyam, of course, Namo Rudrebhyo, salutations to those Rudras, ye, who, Pruthivyam are in are on the earth. Yesham Annam Ishavaha, and they make use of the food, the gross food. They make use of the food as the arrows. Annam Ishavaha. Ishu means arrow. They use the food as the arrow. No, we are not talking of food fight here. In the food court, the kids, one throws it on the other, then it falls on someone else, they throw it, and then suddenly it is like a chaos. We are not talking of food fight. The food used as an arrow, as a weapon. Tebhyaha Rudrebhyaha, to those Rudras, Dasha with all 10 fingers pointed together. All 10 fingers pointed together. Dasha. Prachihi, the eastern direction. Dasha Dakshinaha, holding it still like that, turn towards the southern direction and then do the salutations, offer the namaskara. Dasha Pratichihi, Prachi is east. So what is Pratichi? West. Pratichihi. Dashodichihi to the north, with the 10 fingers folded, offer the salutations. Dashodichihi. Dasha Urdhvaha, pointing 10 fingers towards the upper direction, upward direction. Dasha Urdhvaha, facing in all these directions. First the east, then the south, then is the west, then north, and then upward. Offering the salutations. Offering the salutations. Namaha Tebhyaha, to all the Rudras in all possible directions, with all my anga. Sa Ashta Anga, with all the limbs. Ashtani Angani, with all the limbs, I am offering my salutations. Here he says 10 of them. With all the 10, offering the salutations. Tebhyaha Namaha. Namo Rudrebhyo te naha mradayantu. May these Rudras who are on the earth, who use the food as the weapon, food as their arrow, I am prostrating, offering my salutations in all four directions and the upward direction. May they naha mridayantu, make us comfortable, happy. May they be pleased by us. Te meaning we who have prostrated with all our three instruments of thought, word, and deed, offering our namaskara, offering our salutations. Yam dvishmaha, we who hate, or we who hate that which. Is it getting too confusing? We who have saluted you, you the ones who have the arrows as food, food as the arrows. We have some things that we hate. And we have some who hate us. Nahadveshti. Tam, both the ones we hate and the ones who hate us, we offer them into your jaws. You be Jambhe. Jambha is the jaw. That's why the yawning is called Vijrumbhana. The extension and expansion of the jaw is called yawning. The root word again there is the Jarumbha, which is the jaw. The only moving part in the entire head. Rest of the parts don't move. The only part that moves is the lower jaw. Into your mouth, open mouth, dadhami. I place all these people that I hate and those hate me. This seems to be a very vengeful stotra, very vengeful mantra. The first time I read, like close my eyes and visualize, gather all of them, tie them up, those who hate me and those who I hate, tie them up all together, and then carry that load. And this Rudra is with his mouth wide open, and I'm like, Swaha. That is just the first part. Now the second part. Annam Ishavaha is the first part that we have just seen. Now the second Ishavaha, Vata Ishavaha. Vata Ishavaha, there are these Rudras who are in the Vata. Vata, in the space. Space between here and the other world. And what do they use? Vata Ishavaha, they use the winds in the space as the arrows. So the entire explanation again goes, Ye Rudraha, Namo Rudrebhyo, salutations to that Rudra who is in the Antariksha. Antariksha, the space in between. Antaha Iksha, the space in between. And these Rudras use the winds as the arrows. We salute them, Prachi, Dasha Prachi, Dasha Dakshina, Dasha Pratichi, Dasha Dichi, Dasha Urdhvaha. So in all five directions, I salute them. May they be pleased, thus being pleased by us when we offer those that we hate and those who hate us into their open mouth. May we be blessed by them. Now the third set. What is the third set? The third set is ये दिवि एषाम वर्षमिषवस्तेभ्यो. Ye divi, in the heavens, from the heavens, when the Rudras there, what do they use? They use the rains, Varsham, as the arrow. May they be pleased, and in 5 different directions, with all our 10 fingers folded and pointed in that direction, we offer our salutations. May they, thus being pleased by us, when we offer those who hate us and those whom we hate, bundled together, offer them into that open mouth. May they be pleased and bless us. First time itself, it looked like a vengeful mantra. 3 times over, what exactly are these people trying to invoke? Now, the Rudra, in the beginning of this particular Anuvaka, in this paragraph, we had seen that the Rudra Ganas are the ones who have to make sure that each jiva, their karma and their karma phala, at their appropriate time, is delivered to them at the appropriate location. Each jiva, whatever be that experience that we have to go through, whoever has to give us that experience, all this has to be assembled in such a way that that message or that result of the action is delivered dot on time. Not a second delayed, not a second early. If you remember, I had given you the story of Kalidasa. Do you remember? He was a Anguta Chap. He had no education whatsoever. As in Hindi we say, Kale Akshar Bhans Barabar. And he was literally a cowherd, a shepherd. One day he was sitting on a branch, cutting that branch in a very funny pattern. He was sitting away from the tree and cutting that branch, sitting on that branch. So a villager was passing by, and he looked at that fellow and he said, "Are oh, girega." And then he kept chopping the tree, and pretty soon, within like 2-3 minutes, he fell down. I said, "Oh man, this guy predicted my future." And he runs, searches him, finds him walking there, and he prostrates to him and he says, "You are Trikalagnya. You exactly knew what was going to happen to me." So that the gentleman who was passing by, he said, if people in your village are all like you, then I can establish myself here as the greatest astrologer. Because to visualize what you are doing and what it will result to is not a big deal. If I have to become like that, what should I do? So he took pity on this Kalidasa to be, and then he said, "You see that temple there? Yeah, Kali Mandir. Go there this full moon and worship her at night. Maybe she will bless you with something." So full moon night he goes there, and that is one scene. Okay. There was another sadhak there who had been invoking Mother Kali for her presence, for her darshan, and he had done rigorous tapas. And he had just done the final act of offering at the Pratima there, and he had gone to freshen himself up into the nearby pond. And now enters Kalidas. For all the efforts and everything, invocation done by the other fellow who has just gone to freshen himself at the pond, Kalidasa is there, mother arrives. Yes, I am pleased with all the invocations. Ask, what do you want? Now you may feel this is not fair. Looking at that particular segment of life and happening and experience, we may think, we may consider that this is not fair. Somebody put the effort in invoking and she has arrived, and now he is gone and somebody else is receiving the benefit. It can never ever happen. Each one gets what we deserve. The famous statement of Gurudev, we get what we deserve, though not what we desire. He must have done the similar kind of tapas in his Purva ashrama or Purva life, and must have done some truti in the last moment, that darshan was the only part that was left. And this fellow who had been invoking Mother Kalis must have had some kind of sesha that he had to repeat or he had to do something. So he was having the urge to go to that pond. And this fellow who had no urge just came there, coincidentally he finds the darshan. There is nothing like coincidentally happening. There are only incidents. There are no accidents. Every time I sit and try to speak, elaborate on these mantras, I feel a strange tickling of fate. A strange tickling of fate, because born somewhere, I'm talking of myself, grown up all across India, suddenly find Gurudev, or rather he found me. I feel that complete absorbed attraction towards him, and then join. I was there in Vijayawada. From there I was plugged in here. And similarly, each one of you sitting there or listening online, whoever, wherever, from various backgrounds. And I can see right away here today in this particular hall, there are at least 4 of you or 5 of you who have never attended these talks earlier than the entire 13 series that we have had. You are not there. But today in this point you are here. Maybe there is some message to be gained. And it could not have happened one day earlier to this or one moment later than this. Imagine, to bring all these various pleasant things to understand is very easy. So blessed we are. And that understanding is easy. When things go haywire, when things are anukula, to understand is easy. When they go pratikula, against, then to see that it is what I have triggered, my actions, karma phala is being delivered here. Who is giving it doesn't matter. He is just the messenger. Don't we say, don't shoot the messenger? He's just delivering that message. That karma phala which I have done in the past is being delivered. Who organizes this entire schematics? It's a very complicated matrix. Which jiva, what kind of phala, when they have to receive it. And these are not just human beings. Pashu, Pakshi, Vriksha, all aspects of jiva in their expression. Each jiva getting each of their karmas phala. If somebody in India, in Hindi especially, and somebody is having a tough time again and again and again, in Hindi they say, क्या जिंदगी है यार, कुत्ते जैसी हो गई है. Life has become like a dog's life, worthless. You cannot make such statements in America, because the dogs here have a better fortune than many human beings. Whenever I have to, have a live pradarsan of jokes, I don't need to go to any stand-up comedian show. I go to the pet mart. Man, what all things have been envisioned for their comfort. There is a dog comforter, there is a dog t-shirt, and they have different sizes, different breeds, different sizes, different. Even for that dog to receive that kind of benefit in this kind of environment, karma phalas has to be given. Many of us die poor. There are many dogs who are billionaire dogs. Have you heard of it? That their owner died writing their entire will in the name of the dog. So never say क्या जिंदगी है कुत्ते जैसी. अमेरिकन कुत्ते जैसी तो वाह, चार चांद लग गए. Whether it is a dog, whether it is a plant, whether it is a bird, krimi kitaka, as small as the smallest creature, as big as the biggest creature, each one having their prarabdha phala. To be receiving it at that point. Who delivers this and makes sure that everybody gets their worth, their karma phala worth? These Rudras, these Rudra Ganas. And never get dejected if you have put an effort. Your efforts worth results cannot be snatched by somebody else. If that were true, then the entire Karma Yoga Siddhanta is flawed. You can trash Karma Yoga. It is not flawed. It may be delayed. And when what result will enable that individual to appreciate it or grow higher or to experience whatever they have to experience, who decides? These Rudra Ganas, they decide. Imagine all of these various aspects coming in together to give one little result. Some stranger looks at says, "Are you thirsty? Take this," and he gives a bottle of water. To get that bottle of water at that point, the first day that I landed in US, I call that my Big Bang Theory. Got off at the airport, and I told you yesterday the story of not having food in the airport, entire flight. Landed, got picked up, a brand new Mercedes, 8 days old. We were 3 of us, me, the one driving, and her niece. We had to take Preston exit coming from 635 It was blocked. So we went further to Coit, and it was quite an experience on Coit. It was red signal, so we waited on. Ours was the first car. As soon as it turned green, we turned. As we were turning, there was this ram, those big two tires in the back. It did not see, was on the cell phone, jumped the red, bang on hit the car. Just arrived into US. The entire car goes 3-4 times, topples over, hits the curb. If he had missed that curb, we would have been on to 635. You can imagine. And while sitting in the car at the airport, I saw this SRS, all over the place. So I was like, India we never seen. So I said, what is this SRS airbag? 15 minutes later, I got my answer. All possible airbags on that car, 14 of them, all of them unleashed from all directions. Yeah, all of them from all directions. Pratichi, Dishi, Urdhva, all of them. Somebody's cell phone is ringing, if you can turn it off. And then you will not, none of us had even a scratch. Opened the doors and got out safe. First, I got out and made sure that because the door on the driver's side was jammed, so helped her to move out through the passenger side. As we were stepping out, there is this guy who saw this entire thing. It was in a jack in the box. So he immediately rushed in and got whatever he could lay his hands on. So got 2 water bottles and another orange juice. My prarabdha for orange juice. Because the entire flight journey, 24 hours, was orange juice. And now I come here and the first thing that is given is orange juice. That's why probably now I have not touched orange juice in like ages. The canned or the bottled ones. At that point, to get that water bottle or orange juice, now the whole episode can be looked at 2 different ways. She did not have an accident or even a ticket in 30 years. And I'm digging a hole for myself. Swamiji aaye, gadwad hua. One way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, Swamiji the, isliye baal bach gaye. However you see it. For that experience to happen, I had to come all the way from India to be there at that point to receive it. Not a moment before, not a moment late. Good things, bad things, ugly things, indifferent things, every single experience delivered, unleashed as my experience. These Rudra Ganas are the ones who are providing it. Point understood? So now how do they unleash it? Those who are on the earth, to them, the food that we eat is the arrow. So what do they do with that food? Now sometimes we have food poisoning. It was tasty, So you just was like, swaha, aha, swaha, you had. And by the time you came home, the entire night you were running between your bedroom and toilet. All possibilities. Urdhva adaha. Stomach was upset. Or when you go to India and somebody offered a salad or something and you had just one slice, enough. Ah, I had, what happened? Amoebiasis. Food. Food can be used as the it can cause diseases, it can cause discomfort. On the other end, lack of food can cause hunger, and the pangs of hunger can also be very punishing. In big houses, very rich families, do you know who actually enjoys that house, the food and the comfort? Not the owners, the servants. They cook elaborate meals. The owner either has already had something or cannot take more than a little. The rest of it, enjoy, oh enjoy. They're never their home. So all the comforts of that home for the servants. Who is putting the effort? The owner is putting the effort. Who is getting the benefit? The servants are getting the benefit. How many times have we not seen stories like born with a silver spoon? By the time they grew up, everything got perished. That there was hardly anything for survival. Haven't we seen such stories? Haven't we seen such episodes in our own life? Our own near and dear ones. So the food can be quite a torture, especially if we have sweet diseases like diabetes. They say that they have severe urge for sweet food. It's right in front of them. Cannot eat. And everybody and anybody, they look at it, no. What? Seeing also problem. Don't. No. And they start behaving as if, you should look at their face. It is there available. But cannot enjoy, cannot relish. Isn't that a torture? That everybody around are like eating and enjoying it in every morsel, and they're like, I have to look at everybody. So they are on seafood diet. They don't get to eat it, they have to only see. Food can become a torture. Excess of it is also a torture. Unavailability of it is also a torture. If the food is gone bad, and what to talk of today? In today's mindset, in today's culture, in today's way of life that we have developed, we have time for every bit of nonsense that is out there, except for making a few fresh meals and eat. Because what we become is what goes inside. We are what we eat. Earn in millions. That's what I call a penny wise, pound foolish. And the food is stocked, dated. And the lousy reason. And the reason is, oh, we don't have time. How much time does it take to make food for, how many are there per family? Maximum 4 people. For 4 people, if, and the equipments here are quite elaborate. To make food, does it take more than 20-30 minutes? I'm not talking about a 10-course meal, a sustainable, tasty meal. No, we cook it in bulk, store it, and what happens? That food in turn becomes an arrow. This is what we say, ABMM. A bal mujhe mar. And things have to be all like, instant, fatafat. So we don't have time to have even the time for boiling water in a proper way. Use that other stupid instrument called microwave. Food, it is said, dvipakam vishavatyajet. Cooking it again. It has to be cooked fresh, delivered onto the table fresh. It has been sitting there. Who will like to eat that kind of, cold food? So that plastic, in that plastic is this 3-day-old, and then put it in the microwave, warm it up. And for all practical purposes, you have everything except the prarabdha for fresh food. What a life. And we conserve in all these. And then finally, at least, take it with seriousness. If in a week I get hundreds of calls, okay, of those various calls, phone calls, if there are, I'm just to give a idea, if there are 100 calls with in relation to birth, death, diseases, hospitalization, if there is such information, 100 calls. Of those 100 calls, I would say 30 calls are about ill health and disease and hospitalization. Of those 30 calls, you would not believe, at least 15 to 20 of those 30 calls, 15 to 20 people would talk about cancer. Common cold is not so much common these days as cancer is. And poor scientists are still searching, trying to identify what triggers it. Because there is, whatever they say is carcinogenic. There are those who have been indulging in those carcinogenic things and are hale and hearty. Nothing is gone wrong with them. A little exposure to one or two and then they are. And what different kinds? It is my understanding. One prominent way of creating ill health is neglect. When we neglect what goes inside. Aren't you careful about your emails and other things, as to who you share your emails and ID and other things with, what kind of emails and downloads that you are very careful. So the system is not corrupted. Food, anything, put anything on the table, done. Did you know what it is? It was good. I ate. And once you look into the processing of the food that is been invented, 95% of it you wouldn't want to touch if you know what that big label says there, ingredients. Have you ever read through the entire ingredients list? Some of those names are tongue twisters, can't even pronounce them properly. One little sample I'll give. Because I draw a great pleasure in destroying your good food. That's what children tell me whenever I give that example. Swamiji, you are a sadist. You destroyed my favorite food. Okay, let me destroy today something. Cinnamon rolls and cinnamon twist. Have you seen them? So usually I check if it has any gelatin or any egg or such product. And everything was fine. I was like, wow, one product produced in US which does not have soy, which does not have gelatin, which does not have egg, must be a very sattvic food. And while I was still walking with it, reading it, and there was this one particular thing which said L-cysteine. L-cysteine. Cystine. And then I googled it up, and it said that it was an amino acid. And so what are the resources? What are the sources for this amino acid? I said poultry feathers are the source, but it is a very costly affair to draw that amino acid from poultry feathers. So there is a richer and easier source, which is human hair, and 90% of the L-cysteine produced is drawn from the temples, a hair gathered from temples of South India. Now, after that, I put that down. We give in to such, not paying attention to it, and then say, why does such things happen? Food is one of the major things. It is mentioned here that these Rudras use food as the arrow. Now the second arrow from the Rudras who are living in the Antariksha, in the space around the earth, they use the air as the arrow. And what do they do with the air? Did we not experience it yesterday? If it is just rain, it is one thing. What I had a siren go off at 12:40, then 2:20, then about 3:15, and again at 4:10. Was there one more after that? You live in the same neighborhood. You should have heard it. They go off like the blaring sound. Just follow us, and again it goes off. Tornado. Was there a touchdown anywhere? Couple of places. Ah. Have you ever experienced or seen tornado? Usually, when I was here earlier, I used to go to Fort Worth every month to deliver lectures. So one such time when I was driving, suddenly our mission president Ashokji, he called me, just casually called. He said, Swamiji, be careful, be indoors. I said, I laughed. I said, I'm almost closing towards downtown. And there was some voice of concern from the other side. He was quickly checking online. Where exactly are you? I said, the intersection. I was going on 35 and this is the street that I. Can you take the next exit out, find a Walmart or some big store and find, what do you call that, shelter? And right across that highway was a Target. Irony that it has a bullseye. And it was an easy target. And the entire store, it was right across. Staying in that shelter, I could hear it rip apart. The winds can be quite dangerous. Vata Ishava. Varsham Ishava. Delayed rains can kill the entire crop for that season. Too much of rains can kill the harvest. All the mission members and Yuva Kendra members in Chennai are sending out message. Next vacation, don't spend on Venice or anywhere else. Come to Chennai. We'll take you on a nice boat ride. Usually Chennai doesn't have the rains. Water is a big scarcity. And suddenly this season, it's flooded. That all that which would be just about to harvest or just harvested and now stored, just in the transit to be stored, completely destroyed. And we are talking of tons and tons of grain. Through the rains, there can be a lot of havoc. Now, once you understand the meaning, now going into the deeper meaning. Now, the three kinds of namaskara that are to be offered is Kayika, Vachika, and Manasika. Thought, word, and deed. In the thought as japa, in the word as a stotra, and in the form of the act, the puja itself is the namaskara at a physical level. What are we invoking? These Rudras that are being worshipped, they are three kinds: Vishwa, Taijasa, and Pragnya. I'll explain what are these three technical words. If you have already gone through Tattva Bodha, these should not be difficult words to understand. Vishwa, Taijasa, and Pragnya Rudra. And the associated aspects of Vishwa, Taijasa, Pragnya are called Virata, Hiranyagarbha, and Ishvara. Now, what is the Vishwa and the Virata associated with it? The individual gross bodies as Upadhi, as a limitation and as an instrument. When that consciousness functions, we stay on this earth. Such is called the Virata. And where is the play for that Virata? This Vishwa, this earth is the playground. Taijasa is Hiranyagarbha. What is Hiranyagarbha? Hiranyagarbha is the subtle aspect of the entire totality. The same situation can be an individual prarabdha, and in another perspective, it can be a totality prarabdha. They are both aspects, individual prarabdha and the total prarabdha. A good example, to have you as my listeners today is my individual prarabdha. To have me as a teacher today is your totality prarabdha. You get the same experience from different perspectives. The individual perspective is the Vishwa and the experience of that individual. At the totality level, it is called Hiranyagarbha. And this Hiranyagarbha is subtle, therefore it stays in the Antariksha, in between space around the earth. Now at the highest level, at the causal level, is called Prajna, and the associated Chaitanya is called Ishvara. Now this Prajna is covered, enveloped by ignorance. Ignorance of one's own true nature. When the sadhak continues his or her own sadhana of puja, japa, meditation, swadhyaya, rigorously, incessantly, every day without gap, there is the antahkarana shuddhi happens. When that antahkarana shuddhi happens, the appropriate teacher comes into such students' life to take them into the further path. All that we need to do is pray to that Lord that purify me and give me that one who can guide me further. And that Rudra, it is their job, right? He shall make sure that such one is provided. Once that blessings of the Lord and the blessings of the teacher after various lives of such sadhana done, then that seeker finds that oneness with that pure consciousness within. I shouldn't be using the word pure consciousness because there is nothing called impure consciousness. With that consciousness within, the Guru leads that sadhak in identifying. That is why we often see that such realized masters are often worshipped as the Lord Himself, Paramatma Himself. This state of experience of that embodiment of bliss is called Samprajnata Samadhi. This comes in the Yoga Vasishta and as well as the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Samprajnata Samadhi. And this Samprajnata Samadhi in itself is the experience of the heavens, the Sukha of heavens, all put together. And what happens? At this point, the Pranavayu is regulated and the Kundalini Shakti raises up. When that Kundalini Shakti raises up, it goes through all the chakras, finally reaching to the Sahasrara, where every petal of that Sahasrara is filled with this divine nectarine Amrita, and then starts flowing back. And when it flows back, the back of the throat, early in the morning, Brahma Muhurta Kala, starts raining Sudha Vrishti. There is that rain of that back, that juice flows back. And such one, they do not have thirst or hunger. So food, what does it do? It removes the enemy called thirst and hunger. And this Samprajnata Samadhi reigns, removing that enemy of thirst and hunger. And the Pranavayu is the one which has awakened the Kundalini. The 10 Indriyas coming together is the focal point necessary. Not just the 10 fingers pointing, all the 10 Indriyas, organs of perception and organs of action, coming together to one single focal point without distraction, without deviation from that which you are focusing on. That is called a true namaskara. Offered to the eastern direction is to the Swarga Loka. Offered to the southern direction is the Yamaloka. Offered to the western direction is the Asura Loka. Where are we now? Just mentioning it. The northern direction is called Brahma Loka. And the above direction is the direction of Brahman, the Lord Supreme Himself. Salutations to all these different aspects of Rudra in all these directions, so that all my prarabdha karma resulting in my present as my prarabdha, the karma phala resulting as my prarabdha, may it turn into a blessing that whether it is difficult, whether it is hard, whether it is easy, does not matter. As long as it is provided with such interval that it pushes me towards that infinite. See, the change in the seeker here from the earlier mantras, it was like a crying baby. Oh Lord, I have done this mistake, but I can't, please don't punish me. Now here he has gotten the mental stability wherein he says, I have done what I have done consciously or unconsciously, I have no regrets about it. Fine, whatever has been done. The prarabdha that is yet to come, which will come, I am not praying that you take that away from me, but provide it in such a way that it becomes anukula rather than pratikula. That's a huge change in the mindset. And in order to realize what are the things that we hate and what are the things that have to be offered into his open jaw, hunger, thirst, lethargy, complacency, get to a certain place. I'm not like the rest of them. I do light the lamp and agarbatti to the Lord every day. And that is the sadhana. They're stuck there. They don't go beyond that. Or every Monday, Lord Shiva, I take fasting. I am better than the rest. So my sadhana done. You cannot stay complacent. Complacency is also an enemy. Then the disease, then the desires, then the lethargy. Let all these enemies of my spiritual journey be offered into your mouth. You blesses, devouring them with Jnana Agni, the light of Jnana with which we can abide in our spiritual glow. Therefore, when this particular mantra is chanted as a sadhana, as a upasana, that upasaka is not just blessed with the external prosperity, the internal prosperity getting closer to that self within, the inner self within, crossing over all the hurdles of disease, of lethargy, spiritual lethargy, desires, crossing them over becomes easier. Therefore, do not take the mantras for granted and say that, what will mantra do? Chanting these mantras with that kind of penance ushers the seeker to the next step. No step in the scripture has ever been laid out by our rishis as a means to torture the sadhak. It is meant to take the sadhak to the next level of spiritual glow. With this particular mantra, technically, of the Rudra Chamaka Prashna, Rudra Prashna has come to an end. Sayanacharya ji, Abhinava Shankar ji, Vishnu Suri ji, Bhatta Bhaskara ji, all these various commentators stop their commentary right here. The rest of it which we chant has risen to the status, they are different parts of Vedas only, but they are not a part of Rudram. But for so many ages, generations, different Mahatmas have been chanting it together. So the 12th Anuvaka seems to have been continued with reverence to those Mahatmas who have added it. But technically, they are not a part of Rudram. I'll go through them. Starting from Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam, all the way up unto the Mrityave Swaha, until there. That entire Anuvaka is a add-on to the original Rudra Prashna. Rudra Prashna has 11 Anuvakas, Chamaka Prashna has 11 Anuvakas, and that is known. So the 12th Anuvaka need not be touched, but they are all quite powerful mantras of benevolence. So let us see the 12th Anuvaka. Though only 11, and that paragraph is still there, therefore I call that as 12th Anuvaka. There is no number to that Anuvaka. So the 12th Anuvaka, first mantra. Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanat mrityormukshiya mamritaat. So the first word there itself, it is not Trayambakam Yajamahe. When you say Trayambakam, it is Traya. There is no Traya there, it is Trya. So it has to be pronounced not as Trayambakam, but Trayambakam. Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityormukshiyamamritaat. This particular mantra is called Mahamrityunjaya mantra. A simple meaning, Yajamahe. Yajamahe, we worship. Who do we worship? Trayambakam. Trayambakam, that Lord who has 3 Ambakam, eyes. Sugandhim. Sugandhim, बड़े सेंट वाले हैं. He smells really fresh and quite fragrant. Sugandhim. Pushtivardhanam, the one who nourishes and also makes sure that that nourishment reaches well for the growth and upward movement of that jiva. Pushtivardhanam. So why do you worship this Lord Shiva with three eyes, fragrant one who is nourisher? I worship him so that Mukshiya, Mukshiya, liberate me, relieve me. Relieve you from what? Bandhanat. Bandhanat, from all limitations and bondages. Like what? Mrityoho, like Mrityu, and blesses Mamritat. Mamritat blesses with that immortality. There, Ma has got four different shades of meaning. We'll look into it when we go deeper. How do you want me to relieve you? If the Lord were to ask this devotee, अच्छा ठीक है, कैसे? How do you want me to relieve you from this? Urvarukamiva, like the cucumber, the watermelon. There are two kinds, kharbooj and tarbooj. The one with green and red inside is kharbooj, and the one which is yellow and looks like a uh, cucumber seeds inside, tarbooj. It's a little oval in shape, sweet and so when it is ready, when it is fructified, you just take it in your hand and snap it. Effortlessly it comes off. Urvarukam iva, like that fruit taken away from the vine with ease. Let me be relieved of all these. Don't tell me that I have to go through this and then reach. बहुत थक गया हूं. I am tired. I have seen too many lives. Show me that relief. Show me that liberation as easily as the cucumber is snapped from its branch. Similarly, take away all these limitations from me and bless me that I am established in that immortality. Now, this mantra is so well commented upon that there are hundreds and hundreds of books, if not thousands, commenting on only this mantra. Further in-depth analysis of this mantra tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.